All right. So, welcome everybody to tonight's podcast. Tonight we are live with my good friend. Wait, real quick, do you want to go by Dean?
Hello there.
Yeah, you can call me Dean.
All right, you want to
You
go by
know
Dean?
me.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I wanted to make sure we had, that out the way. So, welcome
Yeah.
to tonight's podcast, everyone. We are live with our good friend Dean, and tonight we are cutting the shit about tabletop gaming. This has been a podcast in the work for quite some time. I'm excited to get our first episode out of the way. So keep in mind, things might change, but it's better to start than to have never started at all.
Right. Yeah, get it under your belt.
So, my man, tell me a little bit about yourself and, what you're about, how tabletop gaming has impacted you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm at PurpleGorilla1 on Twitter, but I've been playing tabletop games for 15 years. I started with Dungeons and Dragons 3.5, which is everybody knows in the tabletop gaming community is one of the crunchiest games, and crunchy meaning math. But I fucking hate math. But yeah, no, I've been running games on and off for the last 15 years, and in the last year, with the pandemic, I got really serious about it. So I started running this game because I'm into that horror shit like you. Outbreak Undead, and it's a zombie like survival simulation game.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, like it's fucking hard.
So you mentioned earlier that it's taken you some rather big places that were a little unexpected. So where's that leading you at today?
Well, I now get paid for running that game.
Yeah, it's always nice to get paid to do something you love, isn't it? Especially having 15 years into it.
Yeah, I mean, I've always done it as a hobby on and off, but to get paid for something that you thoroughly enjoy is just, I mean, as a streamer,
Yeah.
it's the best feeling, like seriously. But other than that, I just recently started being on another podcast, it's Brackish and Hamplo's Fictional Reality. I'm a guest GM, game master on theirs, and I'm going to be starting my own podcast at the beginning of the year with some pretty exciting things.
Yeah. So,
man.
Tell me a little bit more about what you're currently doing with your project now and who you're doing it for, if you're able to talk about that.
Basically, I'm doing it with those guys that got me introduced into podcasting. I met them through a playtest for another, upcoming tabletop game, Rupture RPG. Real inclusive. They make a focus on that one. They've even got a race that is non-binary.
Yeah.
Like just straight off the gate.
So is that something that's pretty big within tabletop? Like,
oh yeah, man. Yeah, it's real inclusive.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there's a few odd ducks out there, but yeah. For the most part, it is all about inclusivity because, tabletop gaming is an escape just like anything else.
So, what would you say, like, for someone like myself who really isn't experienced with tabletop gaming, or anything of that nature, where would be a good place to get your foot in the door? I know a lot of people, with the pandemic have been referring to online D&D and things of that nature. What would you suggest, though, for newcomers or people who have no idea where to begin?
Honestly, find a game that you think that you might be interested. There's all sorts of games for all sorts of genres out there. Like the zombie one that I play. Another famous one in Japan actually is Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
So Lovecraftian themed. Then Dungeons and Dragons, another good one. But there's tons. Like seriously, one of the easier ones or rules light ones is that Rupture RPG that I mentioned. But yeah, there's one-page games out there. Just do a little bit of digging. I think you'll find something that you like.
So what's a one-page game typically consist of? That seems like it'd be something that'd be rather just in and out.
Yeah. There's one that a couple of friends of mine from the UK, D20 Future Show, run, and it's David, fuck, what's his name? The bald action star. What? Shit. What the fuck is his name? Statham. David Statham.
Okay.
It's David Statham's Big Adventure, and you basically just have to keep David Statham happy.
All right. So what's
and
that?
There's
What's
different
that
things that you have to roll to make it so that he doesn't like freak out.
So what's that consist of though? Like, what all do you do within the game? And the rolling's a big aspect of that. Like, how much of a challenge does that make, and how much of a difference does that make?
Doing it online.
Well, just I mean, in particular, like, that almost makes every game like a different play, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing about tabletop gaming is it's never going to be the same. I've run the same scenario 20 times for Outbreak Undead for different conventions and games like that. Not a single one has ever been close to the same.
So how long does it typically last for you? Like with that in particular game?
With convention games, they're normally 3 hours long.
Mm-hmm. So what do you do to, like, what would you say your normal like setup is, like, for how you begin it, your thought process going into it, and most importantly, like, just keeping it fun and imaginative, like, the whole way through, like, you know, because I'm sure
that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Keep it fun. Like, I am there as a facilitator of fun for everybody that wants to play the game. Because realistically, your players are the people who tell the story. You just guide them, give them new things to look at and stuff like that. So normally, I start with, if I'm just doing my shit, something that's not like a module or anything. You just start out with an idea. I wrote one that is taken on a train in the 80s, and the train goes through the couple of mountain passes. Because I mean, shit, I thought that would be interesting.
Yeah.
The name of the game is try to survive and get to the front of the train to stop it so you can get off.
So
that never happens, never once.
What do you do to keep each game fresh and different though? Like, is there any certain thing
Run
that
it? You don't have to do anything.
You don't?
Dice make it interesting. Your players make it interesting.
Okay.
There are certain things that as a dungeon or game master I can do, which is like introduce different enemies here and there. But other than that, like even Outbreak Undead has a system to keep it completely randomized.
Okay, so that's a pretty cool concept. What would you do if that wasn't in place though? If you were playing a game,
use what you have.
Yeah.
Keep it narratively fun. Basically you have to be really good at reading people to run games, because there's certain things that, especially as a horror game runner, there's certain things that push people's boundaries, and you have to see if they're comfortable with that. But even as doing just fantasy, there's certain things that push people's boundaries of how much enjoyment they get out of something.
So how far do you like to try to push those boundaries though? Like in particular,
depends
with the gore ones. Do you get?
Yeah, I always give a trigger warning. Because in horror games, there's a certain amount of uncomfortability that you want to achieve. But it's really easy to pass that. So what I like to do is offer, ask people. It's called lines and veils. Lines are like strictly things. Don't even bring it up. Don't put it in the game. Stuff like that. Like sexual violence.
Yeah.
You'll never fucking see that in a tabletop game that I run, especially because there's no reason for it. But there's also veils, which are things that you can touch on but don't elaborate.
Yeah. So
like beating somebody's face in. Some people aren't comfortable with that. So, he climbs on top of him and starts hitting him, and that's where you end it, and then you move on to the next scene.
I gotcha. So real quick, Cypher wants to know how long he has until he can ask about Darkest Dungeon tabletop.
I've never actually heard of
I think
Darkest Dungeon tabletop.
I think Darkest Dungeon is the game, isn't it? I think there's a game that's similar to something like this. Yeah. I might be wrong about it. Cypher, if you're still in chat, feel free to elaborate about that a little bit. You
But
mentioned
yeah, if some people like if nobody gives you a line or a veil, they can use X cards. And X cards are like, "Hey, fuck you, stop." And so the narrator will see that and fucking move on.
Mhm.
But if they don't, that's when you start into the gray area, pushing boundaries because people aren't necessary. Some people aren't comfortable with letting people know their triggers,
Yeah, no,
especially random people on the internet.
I get that. So what would go into keeping a typical like tabletop game compared to a horror one? What would be your typical approach, and how do you keep that feeling of uneasy going the entire time? I mean, with games like spawning over 3 hours, like uh,
Oh man,
is it
it's
more
super
stressful?
easy.
Is it?
No, it's so easy.
He's like, there's nothing that goes into.
I mean, but I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah. So
Um,
in the beginning, though, let's talk about not from now, but when you first started doing this,
hmm.
when it was a little bit more difficult. What did those
Well, I
moments
mean,
consist of?
really, you know your friends, especially because if you're gonna GM, chances are you're gonna GM with for the first time with a group of people you know. So it's a lot easier if you start that way specifically. I know a lot of people that start on the internet didn't have a good time because you don't know those people.
Yeah.
You don't know random people's sense of humor. You don't know what they aspire to, anything like that. And that's where building your characters and stuff like that comes in because uh, if you're doing a game where you characters, the, you'll know because your dungeon master or game master will get into it with you what kind of player you want to be.
Hmm.
So it's a lot easier. There's a lot of exposition.
So what would you say would be some of the easier parts of doing this, and some of the harder parts, some of the pros and cons, and
Well, the hardest part's always going to be reading the rules.
yeah,
Yeah, because it's not fun. Nobody has fun reading rules.
yeah.
If you do, you're a sick bastard. Just reading textbook. But the easiest thing is, having fun with your players.
Hmm.
Uh, a lot of tabletop games give you like outline how to run a game, which makes it easy.
A little bit of an awkward pause there. We'll just let it
Yeah,
fester a little bit. Drink a little bit. So,
gotta hydrate, bud.
what would you say are some of your more favorite games that you're playing currently? Games you would recommend, and what sets them apart from one another? I mean, there has to be just tons of games out there, right?
Absolutely tons. I'm getting ready to play the new 2D20 Fallout, the role playing game by Modiphius Games or Modifius. I'm getting ready to play that, and it's Fallout, man. It's gonna be dope. Like, you like Fallout? I
Yeah,
fucking love
yeah,
Fallout.
absolutely. I remember
um,
playing Fallout. What was it, 2? When
yeah, dude,
the
hell yeah.
old, yeah. And I tried to play it again recently, but you had to go through all these loops and stuff to get it to play on a computer anymore. But I remember playing it for the first time and just how brutal it
Mm.
was.
Oh yeah, absolutely. From what I've heard, I watched their stream the other day. It's based on Fallout 4 with some of those old Fallout 1 and 2
Oh,
mechanics.
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So
But then Outbreak Undead, as always, I fucking love that game, dude. On the podcast that I'm going to be making, I'm going to make you play as some of it
yeah.
with a couple of other people.
So, well, give me some examples from this Outbreak game. Like, I mean, just go ahead
Oh
and just feel
gosh.
free to just give some examples of what has happened, some favorite
Well,
moments.
well, how dark do you want me to get? Because
Um,
there's been some dark shit.
I mean, I
Some guy chewed
we
off his finger the other day.
yeah, no, feel free,
Like,
feel free. I mean, the
chewed it
title
off because he was freaking out.
title of this is called "Cutting the Shit," so I feel like we should have a little bit of a, you know,
Yeah, man. Well, there's been a whole lot of stuff. But for Gen Con online, I ran a few games, and the last game I decided to use a different boss because in Outbreak Undead there's a series of bosses that you can use, and for my one shots I generally have them face a boss.
So what's been
Um,
your favorite boss?
oh god, this one. This thing was sick. He's called the Slasher, and he was from Hunter's Entertainment's Free Content Friday last year.
Hmm.
So I made him like a crazed, sadistic Alaskan guy because the game that I run is an Alaska version of fucking Pyramid Head,
Oh, that's awesome,
but with
dude.
with the leather mask instead. And fucking he carried, a big fucking machete and shit, and
Hmm.
he's fucking running through people, man. Slice a couple people straight in half.
So do you when they die in the game, is that it for them, or do you let them come back as a different character?
With the one shots, I do let them come back as a different character. Yeah,
So
because I mean, what would be the fun of just sitting there?
yeah, yeah. For your one shots though, how long do they are those typically about 3 hours
Yeah,
too?
those are the 3 hour
Yeah.
games. Yeah,
So do
three
you
to four at the very
what do you
least.
prefer doing more though, the one shots or the longer ones?
See, I don't really run long form games. Like I run fucking one shot to like 5 shots. But in that podcast I mentioned, fictional reality, that's gonna be my first like long form game. We're gonna keep going for as long as they want to go for.
Yeah.
Um, there's a few things that they might know, but maybe not. Uh, it's really interesting. If you get a chance to listen to it, it's on Buzzsprout and shit. But it's it's really really good. I don't like to toot my own horn, but I'm fucking really proud of that.
Yeah, no, feel free to tune it,
They
man.
set it up. The guy that edits it, Chad, or Haplo of Haplo and fictional Hapo and Brackish's fictional reality. No, sorry, that's wrong. Brackish and Haplo's fictional reality. He edits all their stuff.
Hmm.
So what he's been doing is he's doing like a blend of, just the regular live play as well as like audio drama stuff, like sound effects and shit. Dude, it's so good.
So what's your thoughts on I remember seeing them. The it's like these tables that like you put these pieces together and you make your own like rooms and dungeons to play
Yeah,
with.
dude, that shit's sick.
Dude, it's wild, man. I've seen some real crazy ones, man.
Yeah,
What's
dude, miniature gaming is sick. Like
so
sick as fuck.
that's a form of tabletop, right?
That is
Okay.
fucking like
Warhammer. That's like Warhammer
yeah,
type stuff.
Warhammer's the big one, yeah.
My buddy,
Then there's like Heroescape. Heroescape's another big one.
so my buddy does like he paints the miniatures and he does such a
Yeah.
good job, dude. He's
That shit's
insane at them.
sick.
But yeah, man, I've always thought that type of stuff was cool. I think I
They get
think
a lot of views too,
yeah,
man.
I think that type of stuff I'd be interested in playing because I used to play Final Fantasy games like Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff like the turn-based
Oh,
RPGs.
yeah.
And it just seems like so much of a similar nature.
Yeah.
Um,
If you use a board when you're playing, regular tabletop games, it's the same thing.
mhm.
It's almost exactly like Tactics.
No,
I think
that's
that's
really
what
cool.
they based fucking Tactics off of, was tabletop gaming.
So, what's some of the tabletop games making the biggest buzz in the industry, and what are some of the biggest ones to come that are highly anticipated?
Dude, there's so many to keep up with, to be
I mean, just maybe
completely and totally
like
honest.
top three of the hottest. I mean, because if we're gonna be
Well,
cutting the
top 3
shit,
hottest,
yeah, if we're cutting the shit
I
about
would say,
tabletop, we got to cut
yeah,
the shit, you know.
I'd say probably fucking Dungeons and Dragons. Obviously, everybody fucking knows Dungeons and Dragons. That Call of Cthulhu game is huge. But a new up and coming one, it's out, but it just recently won 3 awards for best game, best rule, and best product of the year at the Ennies in
Oh,
Gen
that's
Con.
awesome! Hell yeah!
That was Alice is Missing by Renegade and Hunter's Entertainment.
Yeah.
Dude, it is an emotional fucking roller coaster of a game.
No, that's cool. Yeah, because
It's
I've
done
never
through
played.
text messages. Yeah, it's done through text messages and voicemails.
Oof.
And yeah, dude, it is. I oh,
Yeah, that
it
sounds
is a
crazy.
treat to watch, man.
So, how would you say tabletop gaming has impacted you as a gamer, having done it for 15 years? Like, what do
Well,
you?
fuck, I get paid for it.
Yeah. But like overall, like, do you when you play like video games, do you think like you look at it differently now?
Oh, no, see, I don't look at video games differently, but tabletop gaming is, it's like reading a book with your friends
Hmm.
because it's a shared experience every time. You can play with two people. You can play by yourself. You can. It's an escape, and it's about the best escape there is because you get to use your brain. You get to solve puzzles, and you get to socialize with other people in an intimate setting, more intimate than your Modern Warfare parties or anything like that. Um, but it's about hanging out and have a good time with your friends. So I honestly don't think there's anything better in the world.
So, what are
Seriously.
some of the online sites you would recommend for new beginners, like people who could easily, like, without any knowledge at all, like, get on and learn? Or is there better methods to
Yeah,
it?
no, there's easy stuff. The biggest one that jumps out is Roll 20. It's gonna be 2D, so you got that, but it has a lot of built-in like character sheets that the companies themselves or fans put out that help facilitate the game. Yeah, like with Outbreak Undead, fucking they've built the character sheet in there. So normally, for a single turn in Outbreak Undead, you'd roll because it's a D100 game, so you use two dice to do a skill roll.
Hmm.
But then you add, say you're in combat, you're gonna add dice for your speed, which determines your initiative, which is what turn you go, your damage, and maybe a depletion if you're using a gun. So that could be 10 dice just out of that pool. So not everybody wants to buy, you know, a bunch of packs of D6s because
Yeah.
those are the ones for those ones. So it really helps you like that. And there's a lot of different games that do that because, games are complicated. If you don't have to do and add up the rolls, you can focus on the story.
Yeah. So what do you?
So I like online tabletops quite a bit, but there's still nothing better than drinking a few beers with your friends and chatting some shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of like the story and the rules, what are the most important aspects of it? Would you say like try if you're trying to survive in a tabletop gaming scenario? What were some of the more important things you want to try to aim for to have more success? I guess.
Well, I think you're looking at it wrong because it's not necessarily about winning. There are those people who are out there for that, but it's just having fun.
Okay. Touche. Touche.
Yeah, it's a more existential game
So let me
than like video gaming.
let me re-ask this. What would be some of the tips you would say to have a more fun time with it?
Be open.
Be open.
Be open-minded. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. If you're going to play a tabletop game, be open-minded. But be firm with your beliefs. Cuz I mean, if they're not going to respect you for what you're doing, then don't hang around with those people.
Yeah.
But it biggest thing by far is to just be open-minded. You're there to try to have some imaginational fun because that's most of it. What it is imagination.
Yeah. No. It definitely has always piqued my interest. I've honestly never, I guess, found the right group to connect with.
Well, I told you I'm gonna fucking
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to do it. So I guess for me, what would be something you would recommend to me, to be, I
Yeah.
guess, to be ready for it? I mean, be open and stuff, but what do I need to know about like how to play, how to incorporate the roles, like how much of what do I put into it, I guess. Is it something like
Basically, with the way that I run games is you just be there and be aware. Be there, be aware, be open-minded because you're gonna have a good time. You just might learn something too.
yeah. So, because I've always seen a little bit of it. Like I used to play Magic the Gathering, and at the card shop,
Mhm.
they would do tabletop in the back, and
Oh, yeah.
they would have like the maps drawn out, their characters like lined up and designed, and stats. Like, so what goes into that type of tabletop though? Because that seems like to me a little bit heavier.
Well, all tabletop games are like that if you want it to be. In the game that I run, Outbreak Undead, I'll mention it till the cows come home. Uh, they you can build yourself. Like there's rules to build yourself
Hmm.
inside the game. So it all just depends on the game, and how much time you're willing to put into it. Because after playing for so long, the biggest thing you fucking notice is if someone wants to play, they'll survive through making a character.
Yeah.
Because characters are normally the worst part of playing, making a
So
character.
why is that though? Is it tedious?
It can be tedious, because you're not, you're not having fun. You're not doing something. There's a couple games that stand out that try to change that. Mongoose uh, does one called Traveler, their second edition.
Hmm.
That one makes a mini game of it. In the first edition, you used to be able to die in character creation. Even yeah,
What?
just doing rolls, making a character. Oh shit, I'm dead.
Oh man.
But that other game that I mentioned, Rupture RPG, they've got charts and rules so that you can make your own character.
No, that's cool. So what are some of the benefits to actually making your own character instead of having a pre-designed one?
Personalization.
Yeah.
Yeah, you play the character that you want to do. Generally, with pre-generated characters, they're pre-generated, so you get stuck with what you get.
Is it more of a gamble to make a personalized character though? Because do you have the
No,
roles?
yeah, well, it can be. It can be more of a gamble, but at the end of the day, it's like fucking rolling a character in Fallout. You know,
I've never done that.
you've never played Fallout,
Oh no, no, okay, all right, I got you. You
like
mean
Fallout 3 or
you
Fallout 4? Yeah,
you mean like just the random customization?
yeah, random
Yeah, yeah.
customization,
Okay.
and then
I've never done
at
that.
no, like okay, so taking the
No,
fucking
I get what you're trying to
test
say. I'm
in
just saying
Fallout.
I've never done it. I've
You've
always
never taken the test in Fallout?
I've always anytime I play a game like that, I've always spent hours making my. That's why I would want to play. I spent
No, but
hours.
that's what I'm saying. You never took the test in Fallout
Nope.
to determine your
Yeah.
stats.
Okay. Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
I think
So
I'm.
it's like taking the test in Fallout, but then changing all your stats afterward.
Okay. Okay. I got you.
So you could do that.
I thought you meant like doing like just a random customize, like letting the game just randomly customize a character for you.
No.
I was like, no, I've never done that shit.
You can do that in those two games, but like no. But you can always change stats that you roll. Because I mean, it's never set. You're there to have fun.
No, that's that. So that's cool. That's cool that you can change it on the fly. So,
You can't change it once the game started.
oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's a different beast.
So,
It's like Fallout in Elder Scrolls. Once you start the game, you're not building your character anymore. You're developing your character.
what are. So you've talked about 5 shots too. What are some of the biggest differences between the 5 shots and the 1 shots? Obviously, there's a lot more episodes, but how do you keep the game going? What do you do to keep the game fluid and organic feeling as well? Because there's probably some time
Well,
difference in between.
that's what it is. Basically, you always do a recap. First off, yeah, you always do a recap with your players to make sure that everybody's on the same page before you start. But with doing the longer games instead of 1 shots, you basically it's a lot of writing. Like as a game master or narrator or whatever you want to call it, you are the person that tells the overarching story. Like especially in like a structured game like that, you have intro, you have a climax, and you have an ending. The ending might be your climax.
Mhm.
But you're gonna have those. It's like telling a book. It's like writing a book, but to tell with your friends.
Yeah.
Because what happens in between those milestones is up to you or players.
Do you think it's a little bit easier to story tell like that? I mean, because the one shots you can keep doing.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely do. With one shots and 5 shots, structured games, I find it a lot easier to tell the story that I'm trying to tell with the people that I'm trying to tell it with. Longer games are a little bit harder, but that's why I'm only doing one right now, and that's for that podcast because I know these guys, I like these guys. I feel like I can tell a pretty interesting story, and we have so far.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna be on our 4th episode for this month. This month we are.
So where do you see
October.
the tabletop gaming industry going? Like any big
Oh, dude,
changes?
it's gonna blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Have you not been watching? Like over the pandemic, it has blown
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
up.
Yeah. No, I
Like,
know.
so many people play
Man,
tabletop
you're
games now.
supposed to be the insider. I'm asking you for the inside juice,
Insider?
dog.
No, dude, I thought we were cutting the shit.
Oh my god, my man.
I'm not a news guy like you.
No,
I just run and play tabletop games.
No, I'm just joking with you, man.
I don't think you are.
I do notice that technology is definitely making it more accessible for a lot more people, and we're seeing a lot more growth on the internet itself. How long do you think we got until we're seeing people like translate this to mobile apps, like games that you could just click an app and boom, you just start your story right there?
Already there, man.
Yeah.
Already there. There's all sorts of shit.
I'm back in 2010 already, man.
Yeah, text-based games, man. I'm back in like the 50s and shit. 1800s. Some slow shit.
Yeah. Man, holy shit! I did not know this much went into tabletop. I'm glad that we spent some time cutting the shit. What are some things that we've left out? Is there anything we didn't get any time to touch base on, or some things that you wanted to talk about? I know you said you had your own podcast. Is there any more you want to dive in on that?
Yeah, we're gonna put out we're about to record our pilot, so that'll be fun. We're gonna put that out in December, so you'll get to know us there. But if you want to follow that, that's we're called the Crass Oubliette.
Mm.
Yeah, right. And we're at the Oubliette on Twitter.
So what does oubliette mean?
It is the deepest, darkest part of a dungeon.
Okay.
Yeah, it's where you go and you don't come out.
All right. So that I definitely like the name a lot. That makes a lot of sense. I'm like, oubliette. Are they French? Like.
Yeah, it is a French word, and it was a French invention. Not to talk shit on the French, but they created some horrible shit.
Chocolat bleu.
Yeah, if you get a hair up your ass, go ahead and Google oubliette and see what the hell I'm talking about. It was a dark place. You didn't get out of there.
Yeah.
It's where you go to die.
We're just laughing about death casually. Fuck it.
Oh, dude, I do that on a daily basis. Come on, I run tabletop games about horror, specifically zombies. Things die.
So, is there what is that? That's obviously your favorite. What would you say would be your second favorite type of tabletop to run?
Man, because I do narrative based when I do Outbreak Undead, so it's real, talking, role play, stuff like that. But I like Dungeons and Dragons just for like straightforward mechanics games. Obviously, I have a favorite of 3.5, but I'll play any of them.
Yeah.
I don't judge.
So, as someone with a lot of experience, what would be your advice to people who want to be a narrator, or someone who wants to host their own tabletop session? Advice on like keeping the story fresh, implementing changes. What would you suggest to someone wanting to do that?
Honestly, if you want to run a game for your friends or just want to run a game, do it. Because that's going to be the hardest part of it, is committing and actually doing it. Because it can make people anxious. Yeah. It's not, it's a daunting task, especially if you've ever seen anything like Critical Role. Matt Mercer is a fucking maniac. That guy runs some crazy, deep, detailed games.
Yeah,
And most of it's just up in his head.
So I've never seen it. Can you give us
it's crazy, dude.
Give us feel free to give us some examples. Like what sets him aside?
Honestly, not a whole lot. Besides the fact that he is a very charismatic person. He's I've heard a really nice guy, but he role plays really well. But you can get all of that out of anybody, but that's the one thing that you have to do is not expect that out of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because not everybody's gonna be a fucking crazy voice actor.
How would you get someone engaged that you just know isn't enjoying their time playing? Is there any way?
That's the thing. You try to get in. You try to get them to, you know. I always like to have people create a voice for their characters when they're playing.
So for me, what would you suggest for me to create a voice? Because I mean, I don't think I could come up with a voice.
Okay, so what kind of character do you think you would play in the zombie apocalypse if you weren't you?
So this has to be the hardest part because I would want to be someone who would likely not die.
Okay, then be someone who's likely not die. In your mind, who would you expect not to die in the zombie apocalypse?
Probably like a security guard, like the typical. I feel like that's a typical answer. I feel
like just a regular old security guard, or like a Secret Service agent.
Probably, I want to be like an old mall cop, security cop.
Okay, so you starting to get the idea of somebody in your head now?
Yeah. Okay. I see. I like how you do it. I like how you do it. All right. Yeah. No. So there you.
You have to start with an idea.
No, that was good.
Yeah.
Little taste of the venom there.
Yeah. I might have you guys make characters because I'm gonna have Cody on the new podcast that I'm doing next year. But that's the thing; it's not going to be till next year. And I think I'm gonna have you guys do zombies. You like zombies?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I might have you guys actually make your characters.
No, that'd be pretty cool.
And then describe your characters on screen because I think you'd be into it.
No, yeah, I get the vibe that I would really like it. I think it'd be something that I would be able to have fun with and excel at, honestly.
Yeah, like I keep them light, I keep them fun, but I can also get them real dark. But that's the thing. I'm good at reading people because I've done this for so long that I can see. It's like, hey, fuck, do these guys want to go dark? Let's prod.
You're like, all right,
Yeah, let's prod. Let's poke. Let's see what they're into. See what gets a shock out of them that doesn't make them look disgusted.
Yeah. No, so that's really cool. Do you have any cons you're going to be working next? Like where could people find you next with any of your projects that you're working on?
I'm going to be doing another convention game of my first convention that I ever ran. They're doing it again this year, so I'm going to be playing the first day, November 20th, for RPG Alliance Con,
okay,
or RPGA Con out of Canada.
So how do they go about playing with you? Do they have to get online to do that, or do they do it at the convention itself?
You do get online because I'm not going to make you travel all the way to Canada, but if you're in Canada, they're going to be hosting a live day on the 21st. It's going to be a Sunday. So at a bar.
How many people at a time sign up?
Oh man, for my games?
Yeah.
I normally do 4. So that if I 2 people can die without having to reuse a character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have 6 pre-generated characters for my games. But yeah. I'm really excited for this year because I've done a whole lot since last year, and last year was kind of rough. So I'm really excited to show some people how I've grown as a one-shot master.
Yeah, the biggest thing is just really just taking it and just running with it and crafting it along the way. That's like this has been in the work.
You have to understand your game, and then you have to fucking facilitate fun in your game.
Yep. Like this has been in the works for quite some time now, and My biggest thing is I didn't know how I wanted it to look. I literally built this layout while me and you were talking, and then I was like, dude, check it out. What do you think? Outside of that, I had no idea the structure. I remember calling you earlier and being like, yeah, we're going to talk about relevant news, like just some stuff that's not geek culture. And then I was like, you know what? No, let's just make this whole thing cutting the shit about tabletop. And that's literally, voila, the birth.
Talking shit about shit.
Yeah, the birth of this. I don't even know what the next one's going to be about. But that's the beauty of it, really.
Yeah, you can do anything. You do literally anything.
So, my man, I know we got to be wrapping it up soon. Last finishing words about tabletop gaming for those listening.
If you've ever wanted to try it, try it. You can get on Roll20 and search for a game you're looking for. A lot of different companies have Discords that you can find games on. A lot of communities have Discords that you can get on and find games on, or websites or anything like that. So if you've ever been interested in doing it, go ahead and do it, because I can almost guarantee you won't regret it.
And real quick, any I know you talked about it a couple times, but any links that you want to mention, podcasts you want to mention real quick while we wrap this up as well, that our viewers can check out?
Yeah, I want to throw a big shout out to Job for a Cody, my homie. Fucking, I've known you for a long time now.
Oh man, the Super Games,
since like 2016.
My icon. I have a Super Games review shirt in the back.
Oh, sick, dude.
But when we did an online game magazine, man, that was like years ago.
Yeah, 2016, 100%.
Yeah.
I think with you, I did my first ever interview.
Mm-hmm.
For like that Novik work, right?
Yeah, dude. Everything. Yeah, it was crazy. We were just,
that game's still fucking coming out. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dual Universe is still coming out.
Oh man, that's awesome.
But basically that my Twitter, PurpleGorilla1, and then go ahead and throw my new podcast to follow. We're putting a few little things out here and there, but nothing too big until the first of the year. Well, December for the pilot. But that's at the Oubliette, and it's a French word, but it's spelled Oubliette.
I gotcha. Well, hey, as always, I appreciate you hopping on, being our very first guest on the very first episode.
Absolutely, homie. I'm glad to do it.
I gotta think of like a sign off. This is Cody. This is Job for Cody, guys, and we're cutting the shit.
Sayonara.
Boom, baby. I think that's it. All right, man. Well, yeah, I think I'm gonna play some gas station simulator. So I'm gonna go on break.
Yeah, buddy.
Hop out of this call. I appreciate you as always, my man. Though, and I hope
absolutely, dude.
I hope you have a good night's rest.
You too.
Hey, take it easy, man.
All right, peace.